Hi, this is Penny from Holistic Liberty at holisticliberty.net. I wanted to share a few things with you today because I think people might be wondering just what is it that I have to help you with. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life. I was one of those kids that got made fun of in school. Yes, for those of you who are watching this who lived in Alliance, Ohio, back in the 70s and early 80s, if you're thinking, she looks like somebody I know. Yes, this is definitely, ew, Penny Harris. This is her. This is the one that in high school got all these horrible rumors passed around about her. That's me. I'm the one that many of you, not all of you, but many of you teased and tormented and absolutely had no idea really why you're doing it. I'm the one that many of you, not all of you, but many of you thought was the perfect person to beat over the head with a bunch of books, kick around, put things in my seat. Do I hate you? No. This is Penny Harris. This is Penny Harris. What happened to Penny Harris? Well, a little older, a little bit more pounds put on me. Hopefully one day they'll just dwindle away. I'm living in Texas now and I'm happy, so don't worry about it. So how did that happen? I mean, not only was that a child that was tormented in school and beaten for simply being, ew, Penny Harris, the savage beast. I also had dealt with a lot of other things going on in my home life, and I've dealt with sexual abuse, I've dealt with emotional, physical, mental abuse. I had to deal with things on a daily basis, so it's no wonder that my first husband was very abusive. So why am I happy? It's not my life anymore. But because I had to deal with that and I had such a low self-esteem, I understand what it's like to be deeply, 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 deeply. If you guys haven't figured out, I'm that same crazy girl, excepting for one thing. I'm not in many ways. Grown in many ways. And that's why I'm happy. And I don't hate you all. You guys had your own issues. We get so caught up in ourselves and sometimes we just don't really realize. Am I saying that it was right for the way that you treated me and others because it wasn't just me? No, I'm saying I'm more understanding, more compassionate now. I realized it wasn't about me. It felt like it was about me, but it wasn't about me. We each had a lot of things that we were dealing with back then. But how did I get from that girl to where I am today? My life could have went so wrong in so many ways. I could have got caught up in drugs and alcohol and prostitution. I could have I could have died years ago from an overdose or beaten to death from a pimp. A lot of things I could have, could have. And it seemed like there for a while my life was going that way. But my life made a series of turns, and it wasn't all one great epiphany that brought me from there to here. It was several little steps that brought me there. I mean, I believe I told the story about the day that I literally walked into a closet crying out to God, knowing I want to know the truth. And had I knew where I was going to be or some of the things I discovered, I probably would have been way back into the closet. I had to learn it as I could accept it. Because throughout these years, we get all these deceptions thrown at us from the world, from the friends, from family. And it's not that, you know, our friends, family, society, schools, churches, um, government, it's not that we have this great conspiracy. It's that they don't know any better. They teach what they've learned. And I myself have thrown out things that, you know, going by what I've learned. So how do we separate what is of the world that was thrown into us and what is of our true self that we were created to be? That I don't even want to say creative because I believe that we've always been and always will be, but we're just in different forms. But what is that true inner person? It took years. I mean, I went from, the closet scene and then suffered a little bit more and had some traumatics and here and there and everywhere to another part of my life when I was still married to my ex-husband. I was sitting outside admiring the beautiful full moon, and there was this ring around the moon, and I was wondering how many people were actually admiring that beauty that I was. And I wasn't thinking about my problems. I was just thinking about that. When it came to me that happiness was found inside, that nobody could make you happy, that you had to choose to be happy, and I learned how to love myself. And then that led to a few other things because you get these great epiphanies, and then all of a sudden it's like life comes down and boom and comes at you, and you're like, you know what I'm saying? And so that led to a few other things because I still had lots of lessons to learn, and I had to learn that you think, oh, I found the secret to joy, but then you discover that there's people out there that don't like happy people, and they're going to do everything they can to bring you down versus bringing themselves up, and before you know it, you're back to crying, and you're like, I thought I chose my happiness. But then you discover that when you're around all of this energy, all of this negative energy, it can overpower you, and you can choose to walk away from it. You can choose to learn from it, because sometimes you can't walk away from it right away, but you can choose to learn from it. And I had to start learning. I left my ex-husband, and then I met Tom, who was my next husband. And in the beginning I had to still deal with still some abuses, and by the time Tom passed away, he was the perfect husband. I mean, don't I figure, let's become the perfect husband and then die? And that was another thing that drew me back and everything. But the thing is, I kept moving forward in life, but I had to learn lessons from my old life. And there's these cycles that just kept coming, and I began to learn these cycles, and I began to recognize, okay, this is a cycle, and if I don't learn from there, this is what this is going to happen, and I'll start learning, and I know, well, I got to go through it one more time eventually. I got to go through this cycle one more time eventually because I had to go through it this time to make sure I learn and all this and that. So I started understanding that. Then I started learning about what goes on inside. And I have some chakra charts that I like to show you, but I can't find them right now. But the thing is, I began to learn that there was these energy centers, and I could feel them, and I started learning how to just determine, what is of me and what is of the world, and I could feel, and this search for truth that I have. I've learned how to read my subconscious mind, and how crazy that can be, and like I read this wonderful book from Louise L. Hay called "You Could Heal Your Life," and I began to learn how the body just, I mean, the things that go on in your mind just creates different actually diseases and illnesses. And so whenever I would feel something, I'd be like, what was I thinking? And oh my goodness. And I could tell you a lot of stories on that, and I probably will. And so I got to where I can just be like, okay, I'm upset about something. What is it? And I could feel inside and feel like maybe it's in the heart, and it'll go down to the solar plexus and the gut, area. And maybe it's from the middle of the heart or the upper heart or lower heart, or behind the heart. I could actually locate where this is at. And I mean, I couldn't begin to tell you how fascinating and exciting this is for me. Do I still have down times? Yeah. But I have learned how to take those times rather than to be that little girl that I once was, sitting in a corner with my knees up to my chest, crying. I know that we all cycle, and it's like, okay, I could tell when I'm going to go into that downward cycle, and I'm like, okay, be prepared. What can I learn from this? And I'm like, okay, I don't like the feeling of the downward cycle, but it tells me the areas of my life that I need to work on. And it's just, I can't begin to tell you how fascinating this is. And this is what I want you to learn. I mean, I haven't even touched the surface of it, but I have a lot to learn. It took years to learn it. And I want to teach you how to find that true person, not the one that the world taught you to be, or the lies and the misconceptions that you bought into, thinking that you are a nobody. People often ask me, "What do you want to be in the next life?" And I say, "A blade of grass." And they don't understand. The reason is there are certain religions that have where they actually lay on the ground, and when I ask why, because I want to show that I'm lower than the grass. And it's like, no disrespect to a religion, but isn't that insulting to grass because you're saying the grass is low? I mean, that's my viewpoint. And I don't want people to get upset with me. If that's the way you believe, that's fine. If it works for you, great, great. You don't have to go by what I believe, but this is my perception of it. I want to be a blade of grass because I want to be, low down as far as tiny and still be magnificent because everything is magnificent. You're magnificent. Believe it or not, you're magnificent. And so I want to be an example of how I could be low down and still be magnificent. Still be magnificent. You learn when you can just be like, okay, I'm upset about something, and just be able to reach inside, just go like, okay, where's that feeling at? Okay, the feeling is right here. Okay, I don't have to go back into my history. I just got to go into the feeling, and where's that coming from, and learn how to, okay, that's the thought process that's creating it. How do we change that thought process? Because everything starts with the mind. I couldn't begin to tell you how excited I am to have this opportunity to help others. So I'm not really here to tell you what to do. Really, I'm not. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I just want to introduce you to what I call that inner muse, that creative part inside of you, that true you, that can introduce you to you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.